What's going on, everyone? Today we're going to be giving you a raid overview of the Synthesis Doctor on normal difficulty in Tarisland. It is the third raid boss that you will unlock beginning at level 39 and is a 2-phase boss. Before the fight even begins, players need to collect the vials on the table for their respective roles. DPS will take the red vial, healers will take the green vial, and tanks will take the blue vials. These will be important for mechanics throughout the fight. During the fight, the boss is going to summon red orbs onto the field, and DPS players who have the red vials need to run over and absorb the orbs as quickly as possible, as they will take reduced damage from taking the orbs because they have the red vials. Failure to absorb the red orbs in time will result in the orbs self-destructing and dealing raid-wide damage to all players. If a player who does not have a red vial above their head absorbs a red orb, it will instantly kill them. Following the red orbs, the boss will summon 2 green slimes that will pursue your healers who have consumed the green potions, dealing heavy damage over time to them and pursuing them. Players caught by the green slimes will be killed instantly. So your DPS need to kill them very quickly so that they do not get killed by the slimes. If nobody has a green potion on, or if one of your healers has died, one of the mobs will then pursue a random player, which will kill them very fast as they are not a healer and unable to sustain themselves. The boss will then summon 4 blue cores at random locations on the field that deal AoE damage in the area around them, and it will increase over time. Tanks need to run over the orbs as quickly as possible to disperse them so that they do not wipe out the rest of the raid, as the AoE that the blue cores cover is quite large. During these mechanics, the boss will also cast an ability called Toxin Overload. It will select a random player and remove the current potion above the player's head and give them a random 3-colored toxin to that player, who then need to drink the potions on the field indicated in the order by the debuff in the window shown in the right corner. Once the player has consumed the potions as needed in order, they will receive a buff for a few seconds that will then give them increased damage and healing. If the toxins are not removed in time, the player will continue to lose HP until it becomes too much for them to be able to stay alive. The only other mechanic in Phase 1 is something for tanks to worry about, and that is Mixed Toxin. The boss will shake his vial briefly and then throw it at the tank with the second highest hatred, and it will inflict a debuff while also dealing large damage to the tank. Use a defensive cooldown to help your healers out. Upon reaching 50% HP, the boss will transition into Phase 2. It'll take a few seconds to climb into his mechanized robot, which gives you an opportunity to get some free DPS out without anything going on during this time. Once the boss has fully transitioned into the robot, he'll begin the process of cycling into his new abilities. The first thing he will do is summon a blue core that does not deal any damage itself, but will instead summon several adds over time. DPS need to kill the core as quickly as possible while also killing the adds. This off tank needs to initially grab aggro on these adds because they will immediately run down the healers and kill them if they are not picked up quickly. During this time, the main tank needs to move the boss away from the blue core because the boss will cast Spinning Punch, which will charge for 1 second and then deal damage in a radius of 4 meters around the caster every second for 6 seconds. If this is casted near the blue core, it is likely going to wipe a large portion of your raid due to people trying to be stacked up to kill the adds while also trying to avoid the AoE. After the boss casts the blue core, it will then look to summon a red chimera that will immediately become stationary and proceed to cast self-destruct. This is a big DPS check for your raid, as you need to kill the chimera before it self-destructs, otherwise it will kill the entire raid upon completing its cast. During this time of the red chimera being out, the off tank needs to move back over to the boss, because the boss is going to cast Stomp on the tank who currently has aggro. The Stomp is going to inflict a debuff that increases the damage taken from attacks by the boss by 300% for 15 seconds. So as soon as Stomp is cast, the off tank needs to taunt swap off of the main tank so that they do not get immediately one-shot by the boss's follow-up attack. Following the casting of the red chimera, the boss will then summon a green chimera in the center of the room that is going to deal damage to all players and inflict vulnerability every second for 5 seconds. You need to kill this ad as quickly as possible. At the same time this ad is out, the boss will begin to cast Rotating Venom, which is a 3-second cast and deals substantial damage to players within a radius of 4 to 50 meters of the caster. So that means the safe zone for this ability is stacked inside of the boss. There will be a safe spot in the middle of the boss within those first 4 meters. So players need to make sure that they get inside and stack for it. It is ideal for the boss to be stacked on top of the green chimera during Rotating Venom so that players are able to DPS down the green chimera while also avoiding the AoE damage from Rotating Venom. Once you have killed the blue, red, and green chimeras, the boss will begin to cast Fusion Explosion. During this time, it will summon a red, green, and blue shield on the field with a random number posted above each dome. The players must then match the number above the dome with the number of vials to each of the respective colors. So if the red dome has a 3 above it, then 3 DPS with red vials need to stand inside the dome. If the green dome has a 1 above it, 1 healer with the green vial needs to go stand inside of it. If there is a 2 above the blue dome, then the 2 tanks both need to stand inside of it. During this time, the boss will not be moving, and any DPS that do not have to stand inside of the dome are able to go and freely DPS the boss at this time. Once the boss finishes casting Fusion Explosion, and so long as the number of players in the domes match accordingly, there will be no damage dealt to the raid, and the phase will end there. The boss will then proceed to repeat the previous mechanics of summoning the chimeras in their various colors, and you will repeat those mechanics until you kill the boss, again, including going back through Fusion Explosion if you get to that point. That's going to wrap up our overview of the Synthesis Doctor fight for you all. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, be sure to ask them in the comments or catch us live on Twitch at twitch.tv/Zav. Take care and have a good one.